Okay, quickly I will share the screen. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you able to see my PPT, sir?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
if there is
You
any
can go ahead.
technical issues there, please let me know about it. So thanks for such a
Yeah,
warm
sure, sir.
introduction, Purvesh sir. And I'm truly delighted to be a part of a resource person for this seminar organized by Bangalore University in association with Teachers Union. So it is, I'm truly privileged and I'm truly honored to facilitate this particular session on this technical topic of mediation and moderation in data analysis using SPSS. So I believe most of the research scholars are from academics, and probably some of them might be doing their PhD. So in fact, this is the topic that we have suggested so that it will be helpful both for academicians as well as the research scholars, right? So I hope I'm audible, because initially we had a bit of technical glitch. Now I think it got sorted out, right?
Yes.
You are able to see the text, everything, right? Okay. Okay, so now the flow of thought
Yes,
is
sir.
like
Yes, sir.
this.
Yes, sir.
So I'll start the session maybe for the next 45 minutes. We'll be delivering a lecture, right? So it is going to be a blend of both theory and practical one. As I have mentioned it on the slide, that we will be using SPSS to demonstrate both mediation as well as moderation. And also, if there is any question and answer session is there from your side, it is mostly welcome. Not just only during the session, post the session as well. Right. So now, coming to our discussion, now when we are a researcher, basically we play around with the variables. So when we are play around with the variables, we have n number of variables are there. One set of variables, we call it as independent variables. Another set of variables, we call it as dependent variable, and we try to use different type of techniques like correlation, regression, and whatnot, right? And we try to build up a theory, we comes with a model and all those things. But in this analysis of an interaction between independent variable and dependent variable, there are also other variables which are in between independent variable and dependent variable. We call it as a mediating variable and moderating variable. Basically, this session is just an eye opener to introduce these variables, which are in between independent variable and dependent variable, so that we can use it for our data analysis. Right now, just have a look at it. Let us first of all understand what is meant by mediation. Okay, and we'll try to prove this mediation through SPSS. How do we have to do it? And then we'll get into moderation if time permits. Now, just have a look at it, right? So you can see that there is some kind of relationship is there between these two variables, whether it is grades and happiness, or whether it is DNA or protein, or salary, job satisfaction, cognitive conflict, and financial performance. Probably the DNA and protein and cognitive conflict and financial performance might be a bit new, but let me ask you a question for this audience. Like, can you please tell me, if you consider these two variables like grades and happiness, can somebody tell me which is independent variable and which is dependent variable? I'm referring here. You just have a look at it. Tell me which is independent variable and which is dependent variable in this relationship. The first one.
Job
Grades
satisfaction.
are.
Right.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
Job satisfaction is a dependent variable.
And salary is an independent variable.
Hello.
Yes, yes. You are right. You are right.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. And similarly, in the first relationship, grades, I meant to say higher grades. and happiness. Tell me which is independent variable and which is dependent variable. The first relationship, grades and happiness,
Grades are independent, happiness is
dependent variable, right? So to show the relationship, I have mentioned grades towards the tail of the arrow and happiness towards the head of the arrow. Basically, I have already drawn this, right? Now, this relationship you can easily make out through the literature review. By reading out the literatures, you yourself will come to know about it. And certain relationship you can easily make out through the common sense or through the logic, like how people are able to identify, no, salary is an independent variable, job satisfaction is a dependent variable, right? So basically it is based on logic, or you can try out the relationship based on the literature reviews as well, right? So now I'm not going to explain you how to identify independent and dependent, which is pretty easy because you can easily make out through the literature review, or you can also make out through your logic. Okay, and definition is also quite clear. Dependent variable is something which has been affected by the independent variable. Independent variable is something which is not affected by any other variable. Now my question in today's session is that, can you please tell me why salary leads to job satisfaction? That means why higher the salary leads to higher job satisfaction? Or in other words, can you please tell me why higher grades results in higher level of happiness? The question is not about the relationship. The question is about why there is a relationship between salary and job satisfaction. Why there is a relationship between grades and happiness. It's open for all. Why is it so? Why is it so? Higher grades result in higher level of happiness. I would be more than happy if you could interact, even if it is wrong. That doesn't matter. We all are here for the learning purpose. Yesterday I was learning something. Today I'm just a facilitator. Tomorrow,
Yes,
yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, ma'am.
Sir, if the person is get a good grades,
Mhm.
he'll feel very happy because he
Right.
can be get the identification.
Why? What you're telling is right. Don't
I
you think
think
so?
yes, that is the
Something is
reason
some
he'll
variable is
become
there.
more happy.
Something is there between grades and happiness which I have not shown here, which leads to happiness, right?
Sir, I think it is the student is working hard to get good grades,
Right.
and when he gets good grades, because of his hard work.
Okay. Right. I think you're not able to relate. Probably you are all working professions like me. Let's talk about this variable. Okay. Now, why do you think so? Higher salary leads to higher job satisfaction. Why do you think so? Why do you think so? Just focus on this variable. This variable. Try focusing on this variable. Why
Sir,
do you think so? Higher the salary leads to higher job satisfaction.
so maybe it is like it's on the expectations. The more the job happiness what they get, and on that they are paid salary.
Okay.
Higher the job expectations, higher the job satisfaction, higher the salaries are being paid.
Okay. Okay. Now, any other perspective? Why do you think so? Higher the salary results in higher job satisfaction.
So when you get a higher salary, you have more money to spend. Your purchasing power is more,
Right.
and that
Right. Ma'am, may I know your name?
I am Jacinta Matthew.
Yes. Ma'am has actually pointed out that there is one more variable is there here, somewhere which I have not mentioned it. Ma'am has precisely mentioned it is a purchasing power. So which means that just because if your salary is increasing doesn't mean that your job satisfaction will increase because of the higher increase in salary. There is something else is there. Let's say that if somebody is drawing some 50,000 rupees in India, if he start drawing 1 lakh rupees in US, that doesn't mean that he has to really celebrate it, because the cost of living in US is much higher than that of the cost of living in India. So which means that though his salary is doubling from 50,000 to 1 lakh when he is getting settled in US, he may not have the job satisfaction. The reason being the purchasing power in US is much higher than that of India. So the point to be noted here is that why increase in salary increases the job satisfaction. It is because of your purchasing power. Or in other words, I can also say that when your salary increases, your lifestyle also increases. If there is no change in the lifestyle, then obviously we can say that higher the salary doesn't result in higher job satisfaction, right? So now we are going to discuss about this only. And this is what I call it as mediation. So mediation is that it is that variable which tells the reason for the relationship between salary and job satisfaction, which means that ask question yourself, why higher grades leads to higher happiness? That means that some variable is there in between grades and happiness. That is why higher the grades results in higher happiness. Why is it so? Salary leads to better job satisfaction. That means there is something is there between higher salary and higher job satisfaction. Maybe a better purchasing power. That's the reason why higher salary results in higher job satisfaction. That is what precisely I have mentioned it in the second slide. Okay. Now here you can see that between grades and happiness, there is one more variable called self-esteem. So because you are having a higher self-esteem, because of having higher grades, you might be happy. Okay, forget about this. This is more biological in nature. Third one, if you check out the salary, higher salary results in better lifestyle. That's what I was comparing with an example of India with respect to US. You may not be able to have a better lifestyle even if your salary is doubling, because the purchasing power in US is much higher than that of India. So higher the salary will not result in higher job satisfaction if it is not providing a better lifestyle. Similarly, there is something called cognitive conflict, okay, which I will explain you in due course of time, because this is basically a concept. So just try comparing with these two examples to understand what is meant by mediation. Now, can you please tell me what is the mediating variable here? What are all the mediating variables here? This is independent variable and this is dependent variable. The one which is towards the left hand side are all independent variable. The one which is towards the right hand side are all dependent variable. What are all the mediating variables? What are the mediating
Extraneous
variables?
variables.
Yes. Self-esteem is a mediating variable. RNA is a mediating variable. Salary, the better lifestyle is a mediating variable. Work relationship is the mediating variable. So that means that a variable which is the reason for the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable, we call it as mediating variable. Now, how do I have to identify? How do I have to analyze? What type of tools that we are going to use? That is what we are going to discuss in today's class. Right. Look at it. That's a simple definition. You can see that in any good textbook. That is what is meant by mediation or mediation analysis. It is a kind of analysis which enables us to investigate the effect of one or more independent variable on the dependent variable via a third variable called mediator or an intervening variable. That's the other name for a mediating variable. So here what happens here is the mediator, that means this one, the mediator mediates the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable, explaining the reason for such a relationship to exist. This is very, very important. So here, mediator is something which explains the reason for the relationship between independent variable and dependent, which means that why is it so there is a relationship between X and Y, mediator will explain, right? And the mediator is placed in between independent variable and dependent variable. Now, typically you can place it like this, but when you wanted to do an analysis, you have to draw like this and you have to establish a path. And through this path, you have to perform something called regression. And through the regression, you'll be able to make out that what is the strength of the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable, and as well as between independent variable, mediating variable with respect to a dependent variable, right? So this is the path that you have to draw before you go for any kind of analysis, right? Now, let me not spend much time on the theory because I'm sure that probably people might be aware of this mediating variable already. So let me focus the session mostly on the tools, right? So may I know how many of them are using SPSS right now? Who are all using SPSS right now? Not
Sir,
many.
I'm using SPSS.
You are using SPSS, right?
Sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. So now if you are using SPSS, it is well and good. If it is possible, you can try following it up. Otherwise, you can carefully observe. You can try using it later on also. The techniques, what we are going to discuss today is very, very simple. I'm sure that you can publish a very, very good research paper, or you can use it as a part of your thesis if you're a research scholar by listening to the lecture. It is not mandatory that you have to work along with me, right? Because you don't have the data what I'm having it right now. All right. So now, first of all, what is the procedure to this? First and foremost thing is that you need to find out something called total effect between X and Y. So total effect is nothing but you have to run a regression between X and Y. Using SPSS, try running a linear regression. Consider X as an independent variable, Y as a dependent variable. Try running it. And once you are getting the result, just make a note of the result. After you have done this, try running a regression between X and M. Okay, make a note of the values. After that, try running a multiple linear regression between between X and M and Y. So using X, M as the independent variable and Y as a dependent variable, try running a multiple linear regression. And finally, you have to use something called Sobel test to check out whether the independent effect is significant or not. Okay, this is the procedure what we are going to follow. Okay, and before that, you also need to understand there is something called total effect, indirect effect, and direct effect. These three terminologies you have to be familiar if at all you wanted to understand mediation, right? So mediation, as I have told you, that basically it is a mediator which is placed between independent variable and dependent variable. And when you are placing a mediator, it actually explains the reason for the relationship between X and Y. So you have to place like this, the one you find it, you have to place like this. Also, you have to draw something called total effect. Total effect, yes. Okay. Can you all put it in mute? Because some of the conversations I am able to overhear it. Yeah. So the first one is that.
Dear participants,
Yes.
please unmute yourself. If you have any queries on the post session, you can raise.
Yes.
Please unmute yourself.
Actually, 21,000 ಚಿಲ್ಲರೆ ಇದು. Actually, original price
Amrish sir.
Yes, sir.
Please unmute yourself.
Offer.
No, not from my side.
ಅವಾಗ last time
Not Amir sir. Amrish sir.
Amrit sir. Okay.
ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay.
Amrish
Right.
sir.
Yes. But now it is silent.
Yeah,
Okay.
you proceed, sir.
Yes. So basically, you need to identify three effects: total effect, indirect effect, and direct effect. Total effect is you have to draw like this. Total effect signifies what is the kind of effect that independent variable is having on the dependent variable. So basically, you have to run the linear regression. And then when you are writing this mediator like this, both are same. Whether you draw this one or this one, both has the same meaning. Okay. When X is directly impacting the Y, we call it as direct effect. Okay. And of course, here you can see that X is not affecting Y alone. X is affecting Y along with M. So basically, when you wanted to figure out what is the value, the beta value, you have to run multiple linear regression with X and M as the independent variables and Y as the dependent variable. And whatever value that you are getting, that becomes the direct effect of x on y. Okay, indirect effect, it signifies is that to what extent that x impact m. Okay, you can just run a linear regression and try finding out the value, and you can mention here the beta value, and how y impacts, how m impacts y. So when I say m impacts y, x is also impacting y. That is why I'm using both these variables to try finding out indirect effect of m on y and direct effect of x on y. So this is the first and foremost things that you have to identify, right? Another one which you have to find out is that, which you have to understand is that when you have to use mediation, the first and foremost condition is that you cannot use mediation in all the circumstances. You can use mediation only when x significantly impact y. I hope that I need not to explain what is meant by significance, because that is not our topic of our discussion. That means that when there is a considerable impact of x on y, when there is a significant impact of x on y, where p-value, if it is say lesser than 0.05, let's say for 5% level of significance, then only we can proceed to the next step. If x is not impacting y, if p-value is not lesser than 0.05 or 5% level of significance, then we need not to run mediation analysis, because the first condition itself, it has failed. Second one is that in the indirect effect, that is x to m and m to y, or more precisely with respect to this diagram, a and b, it also has to be significant. So only then we can go ahead for the mediation analysis. This is the mandatory condition. The first condition is very much mandatory, that independent variable and the dependent variable which we are testing, that has to be significant. If it is not significant, don't go for mediation. Second one is that it has fulfilled both the conditions. Now we have to find out whether there is a full mediation and partial mediation. Mediation is there because it is fulfilling the condition of 1 and 2. We need to figure out whether it is a full mediation or partial mediation. When do we call it as a full mediation is, okay, first of all, x has an impact on y and it is a significant impact. When you are introducing this mediating variable, when you are introducing this intervening variable, this impact is becoming insignificant. That means without this mediator, it was significant. When you are introducing the mediator, the path A and B is significant, but the path, this one, C dash, is not significant. So that means that much strong this mediator is. And we call this mediator as full mediation. Are you getting what I'm saying? Or do you want me to repeat it? Are you able to understand what is meant by full mediation?
Sir,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? I told you just compare with respect to the first condition. Mediation is applicable only when x impact y significantly. Okay? Then you go for whether it is full or partial. Okay? Second condition is obviously path A and path B has to be significant. Then only some influence is there. When you are going for this direct effect, this will become insignificant, meaning the p-value will be above 0.01. Why it is becoming insignificant? Earlier it was significant, now it has become insignificant. It is because that much strong it is. That is why we use a term called full mediation. Second one is that you have introduced this mediator. Okay, A and B is also significant. Okay, first condition is also getting fulfilled. But even after introducing this, still it is significant. The relationship between x and y with respect to the direct effect of x and y is significant. During that time, I call it as partial mediation. I request the participants to please take a screenshot of this, because this is going to be extremely helpful. Okay, Let me give you a simple example to understand what is meant by mediation. Now let's say that hope everybody is using a gas stove, right? Okay, you are turning on the knob. Okay, the flame is increasing and decreasing, and when you wanted to reduce the flame, you are putting the gas knob in the sim mode. My question for you is, which is independent variable and which is dependent variable here? Which is independent variable and which is dependent? Let's say that you are trying to boil the milk. So boiling the milk is one variable. Turning the knob of a gas stove is another variable. The question for you is, turning the knob is variable 1 and boiling the milk is another variable. Tell me which is independent variable and which is dependent variable.
Turning the knob is the independent variable.
Turning the knob is independent variable and milk getting boiled is a dependent variable, right?
Dependent variable.
Now,
Yes, sir.
ask question yourself. Now, okay, forget about it. Can somebody tell me what is the mediating variable in this relationship? Ask questions yourself. Why is it so turning the knob increases the boiling speed of milk? Ask question yourself.
Sir, it's because of heat and
because of flame, right? When you're turning the knob towards the clockwise, the flame is increasing. Okay, because of that the milk is getting boiled. Now what is the mediating variable here?
Flame is the mediating variable.
Right. So now here X is turning the knob, Y is milk getting boiled, but it is not the flaming. It is not the knob that is responsible for boiling of the milk. Okay, it may be some other technology might come. It is the flame. That is the actual relationship. So which means that ask question yourself, okay, why is it so turning of the knob is responsible for boiling the milk? Because when you turn the knob, automatically the flame increases. If the flame is not increasing, simply you turning the knob, it's not going to help you out, right? So this is what I call it as mediating variable. Why I use the term full mediation is that when you are introducing this mediator, even the relationship between X and Y will come down. Okay, that's why I use a term called full mediation. I use the term partial mediation. When you are introducing this mediating variable, even then also the relationship between X and Y, it holds true, right? So this is one method. In fact, we are going to focus on this method one only. But I wanted to tell that there is one more simpler method is there, which we are not going to discuss it because you need to install and add in. So you can just make a note of this particular path. Through this path, you can download an add-on in SPSS where you can try installing it, and you can do a similar kind of analysis. You will also be able to get the result where you need not to go for this Sobel test and all those things. Much simpler. Many of the researchers they use this process macro also, which is nothing but an add-on in SPSS. But we are not going to discuss about this process macro in today's class. We are going to stick to our discussion only with respect to the standalone SPSS tool, right? So now we are going to do one thing. First thing is that we'll try finding out what is the total effect. Then we'll find out the direct effect of X and M. Then we'll find that means A. Then we'll find out B. Then we'll also find out what is C dash. And then we will use this Sobel test to find out whether it is indirect effect is significant or not. And then we'll analyze the result, right? So now I would like to take you to SPSS. So how do you go to SPSS? In the search window is here, right? Just search SPSS. All right. So click on this. So now I'm having SPSS version 26. I am opening SPSS right now. Okay, it will take a bit of time. Hope I'm audible. There is no technical glitch from my side, right? Till here you are able to follow, participants?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I have opened a particular window. This particular data, you will not be able to find it in the public domain because this is something related to my PhD topic. Okay. So basically here, what I'm going to do here is, before I go for this, I'm going to tell you that what are all the two variables which I'm going to analyze. So I'm going to use this relationship. Okay. Basically, during my PhD, I have used the concept of cognitive conflict. Cognitive conflict is conflict which is related with numbers, that is objective oriented conflict, and how this work relationship is acting as a mediator between this cognitive conflict and financial performance of the organization. So basically I have three variables: cognitive conflict, work relationship, and
Sir, you're
financial.
not audible.
Is it for all? Am I audible? Am I audible? Can someone confirm me whether I'm audible or not? Ma'am, are you able to hear me?
Sir.
Sir?
Mute.
Sir, you are not audible.
Oh, okay.
Sir, you're on mute, sir.
Am I on mute? Okay.
Sir, Amir sir.
Ha. I don't know, for some reason. Okay, now it is fine. All right.
Yes.
Okay,
Now
fine.
it's okay, sir.
Okay. So now if somebody is putting me on mute, let me know about it. Okay. Right. So now here I'm going to analyze the data here. So as I have told you, just remember that we have independent variable as cognitive conflict, dependent variable as financial performance. What is a mediating variable? Let me check your memory. What is a mediating variable?
Working conditions.
Work relationship. Okay, right? Okay. Now what I'll do here is that I'll go as per this one. Okay, first I will go as per this. First of all, estimate the total effect between x and y. How? Using linear regression. Okay, go to analyze. Okay, go to analyze, go to regression, linear. All right. So basically I have to bring the x variable to the independent one and y variable towards the dependent one. What is the x variable here? What is x? What is independent variable here? Cognitive conflict, right? So
Cognitive.
I have given the name it as cognitive mean. So basically I consider it as a construct where I have asked some 7-8 questions, and finally I did find out the mean. So I have used it as cog mean, which is basically a cognitive conflict. It is just for my understanding, I have kept name like this. Second variable is financial performance, that is y. Okay, I'm bringing it towards at the dependent one. So I'm clicking on OK. I'm not enabling any other options. I've just brought cognitive conflict towards the independent variable side and financial performance towards the dependent variable side. I'm just clicking on OK. All right. So now I just want you to just focus on the last one, this one. Okay. Copy this table and use a word. Okay. Use the word and paste it. Okay. So here let me name it as total effect. Okay, I want to name it as total effect, which means that x on y. So in our case, what is x? In our case, what is x? Cognitive conflict, and y is financial performance, right? So I have copied this. Now here, what is the, I have to consider the unstandardized one. Okay, I have to consider the unstandardized one. Okay, so I'm highlighting this. This is the variable of interest for me, 0.516. And okay, I also wanted to know the significance. What is the significance here? What is the significance value here?
Less than 0.05.
So can I say that it qualifies for mediation analysis? The first condition is getting qualified.
Yes, sir.
It is meeting the first condition. Just straight away check the
If it is-
significance value. If it is lesser than 0.05 or 5% level of significance, yes, the first condition, the crucial condition has been met. So I can go ahead for the next step. So which means that the total effect, this is the output that I have gotten from SPSS. I did not do anything. I just ran a simple linear regression by just choosing the respective options and click, click, click. Output I have got. Copy this table and put it in Word and highlight the significance value and the unstandardized coefficients as well. Right. Then go for refer it. What I have to do, I have to find out the direct effect of x on y. Here also I have to use only linear regression, not multiple linear regression. X on m. What is m here? What is m here? Go back. M here is work relationship. M here is work relationship. All right. Okay. So I'm going back to SPSS. Again, I'm running linear regression, analyze, regression, linear. Now, can someone tell me what should be independent variable and what should be the dependent variable in this case? What should be the independent variable and what should be the dependent variable? I basically want to find out the impact of x on m.
Work relationship is m.
Work. So m is what? There is no m here in SPSS.
M is independent, which influences X.
Yes.
What is independent?
Independent is a cognitive.
Independent is not going to change because in the earlier one we find out x on y. So x is not going to change. So instead of y, that is financial performance, I have to mention
Yes.
m as the
Working.
dependent variable. So what is m here?
M is working.
Work relationship. Okay.
Work
M is
relationship.
work relationship. Just remember the name of the variables. Okay. It's very much important. Right. Click on OK. This also you need not to do anything. Just go to the last table. Copy this table. Go to the word. Okay. And mention it as x on m. That is path A, which means that it is the indirect effect. Indirect effect. So indirect effect, there are two indirect effects. X on m is also one indirect effect. M on y is also another indirect effect. You're getting what I'm saying? Basically, there are two indirect effects. Hope you agree with me, right? This is also indirect effect. This is also indirect effect. Okay, which we call it as path A. Indirect effect one, that is path A. X on m. I've already copied the table. Just paste this. Right? So you have to focus on these two things. Is this significant? Is this path significant?
No.
Yes, yes.
Of course, yes.
At that point,
Yes,
Zero.
look at it. It is
Yes,
significant.
zero.
Yes, this is also significant. I would say this is also
Yes.
significant. So only one.
Less than 0.
Yes. Additionally, for okay.
sir.
Yes, you also need to highlight this. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, are you considering mediating factor as a dependent variable in this case?
Yes, I am.
Sir, how come, sir? We will be having one independent variable, maybe more than 2 or 3 dependent variables, and we have already decided the middle one as a mediating factor.
Correct.
How can we consider mediating factor as a dependent variable?
No, ma'am. Actually, here I'm interested in finding out the path. I'm interested in finding out the path x on m. The only way that I can
Yes.
find out this a is nothing but the beta value. The beta value is,
Sir, in a second.
yes,
Sir, in a second step, ma'am.
okay,
Sir, already checked the relationship between x and y.
okay.
Then
Basically, I wanted to find out the beta value of c, a, b, c dash. Okay. So for that purpose, the only way that I can find out the beta value of a is that try running the linear regression by considering x as the independent variable, m as the dependent variable. Okay, I am not stopping only with this. Further, what I will do is that I will also find out the path of b and c dash also. So when I'm combining the result, you will come to know about the logic behind it. All right. So right now we are not yet done. So once we are completing the analysis, you will come to know about why we have done this. Got it, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
right. So you also need to highlight this standard error also. I will tell you why. Because for running the Sobel's test, you need to mention the standard error. Okay. As of now, just keep it in red. Now, I'm also interested in knowing, okay, I'm interested in knowing two things. One is that I'm interested in knowing the direct effect. Okay. I'm interested in knowing the direct effect. So direct effect of x on m, and so basically you can't find out, see, one thing you have to understand is that you can't find out the direct effect of m on y alone. It is not possible. Okay, the better way to use is that this is not direct indirect effect, it is direct effect. Okay, that's a better way to use. The indirect effect refers to this one, x on y through m. We use a term called indirect, but actually it is a direct effect. Okay, and now I wanted to find out the direct effect of x and m on y. Okay, so I will use it here. I wanted to find out the direct effect. Okay, direct effect of x and m on y. Okay, so basically, if at all I wanted to put it in the form of formula, okay, on y, this is what I wanted to find out. Can I find out m on y alone? It's impossible, because when I wanted to find out only m on y, like how did I find out x on m? Obviously this x on y effect is also there inbuilt. I cannot ignore it, right? So what do I do is that I try to run a multiple linear regression, not a linear regression, multiple linear regression by considering both x and m. How do I do this? Go to SPSS, click on Analyze, Regression, Linear. All right. So now, can you please tell me what should be dependent and what should be independent?
Cognitive conflict is a dependent.
Sorry?
Cognitive conflict is a dependent variable. Financial performance is an independent variable.
Is it the other way around?
Sir, it's other way, sir. Cognitive is independent, financial performance is dependent.
Okay. But I told we have to use multiple linear regression. That means that there has to be two independent variables, no? What is the second one?
The middle one.
Yes, you are right.
Work
The middle one.
relationship.
Work relation, that is M,
Work
right?
relation.
So we have X,
Yes.
we have M, and we have Y. Okay?
Y.
Click on OK. Don't do anything. Go to the last table, that is the coefficient table. Copy this table and go to the word. All right? And paste this. Right. Now, we are more interested in finding out whether m on y, already x on m is significant, whether m on y, which line that I have to consider for m on y. What is m first of all? M is work relationship mean. Okay, m on y, this one, this one, and this one. Can I say both A and B is significant now?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
B
Yes,
is
sir.
what? What is the value here? 0.433. Is it significant? Yes, because it is lesser than 0.05. So which means that the first condition is getting fulfilled. The first condition is getting fulfilled. Okay. Of course, that means that I can go ahead with the mediation analysis. Now, mediation is there. Whether it is full mediation or partial mediation, how do I identify this? Read this. When this path is still significant even after you add this, that means are you getting? If this path is still significant even after adding the mediation, we call it as partial mediation. If this direct effect of x on y becomes insignificant, we call it as full mediation. Are you all there?
Sir, can you please repeat?
Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is just read what it is there, full or partial mediation. Now already x on y is significant. When you are introducing this mediator, the impact of x on y, if it is becoming insignificant, I call it as full mediation. If the impact of x on y is still significant, so which means that it is not full mediation, it is partial mediation. Just read this, you will be able to understand. Are you getting what it has been mentioned here? Then I will prove that through SPSS.
Sir, can
Yes,
you
sir.
please go to the data?
You want me to go to the data? You want me to go to the data?
Sir, please share the data.
Right. So I'll go to the data. I think you all can put it on silent mode. You can unmute it, ask your query, put it on mute, okay? Right. Now you look at it, we can check out the cognitive conflict, that is x, and dependent variable, that is y. You can check out, you can see this. This is unstandardized coefficient, okay, that is 0.074, but it is insignificant. Right. So are you able to understand what I have mentioned here? Just have a look at it. This is x, okay? This is x, cognitive conflict. Financial mean is, this is y. Work relationship is m. Okay? So what I'm trying to say here is, you can see that earlier x on y is significant. Earlier, in the total effect, x on y is significant. When I am introducing this mediator, the impact of x on y, it has become insignificant. Did you observe this? Do you observe this? Participants, are you there? Do you observe this phenomenon? First of all, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And that
Yes,
doesn't mean
sir.
that
Sir,
I
giving
didn't.
thumbs up.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't say that you should not
We are
talk.
giving.
Yeah. Sorry, ma'am.
Sir, they are trying to give the answer. Maybe it will take
Okay, got it. Okay. Now, what I have done is that I have made a note of all these unstandardized coefficient. I have also made a note of all this standardized value. I have done this exercise already before taking the class, and I have documented it like this. Okay. What are all the values that I have got? I have mentioned it here. Okay. I have mentioned it here, and I have put it in the form of PPT. Please check out what is the value 0.5164. this was a total effect value, 0.516. It is significant, okay. Then after I have introduced the mediator, the work relationship, the one which was significant, now it has become insignificant. Where did you find out? Scroll down, check out this particular value. The significance is 0.296, meaning it is above 0.05, which means that it has become insignificant now. Now, can you please tell me whether it is full mediation or partial mediation?
Partial mediation.
Is it full or partial? Go back to the procedure. If C dash, okay, if C dash is insignificant, it is full mediation. If C dash, that is this path, is significant, it is partial mediation. Refer it. Is it significant or is it insignificant? Look at only the p-value. Ignore C, A, B, all those other values. Is it significant or is it insignificant? This value, is it
Insignificant because the p-value is less than 0.5.
right? P-value is because it is above 0.05 and it is insignificant. If it is insignificant, should it be
Full mediation.
okay? If it is insignificant, that means
Full
it is
mediation.
full mediation. The logic is what? When I am introducing this, earlier it was significant, now it has become insignificant. Now I have understood that it is not because of the knob that the milk is boiling. I have established a relationship, that is, it is because of the flame that the milk is boiling. So which means that the earlier relationship between the knob and boiling of the milk doesn't hold true. That is why I say that now the entire credit goes to the flame. That is why I say that it is a full mediation if it is turning out to insignificant. Is it clear? Is
Yes,
it clear?
sir.
Okay. Now, I have also told you one more thing called Sobel test. I told you one more thing called Sobel test. What I mean by the Sobel test is that I find out what is the direct effect of X on M and what is the direct effect of M on Y. Still, I did not find out the indirect effect. I did not find out what is the value of the indirect effect. Still, I am confused whether indirect effect is significant or not. I hope that it should be significant. But what is the number? I don't have the number. I have path A and path B, which is again a direct effect. It's not an indirect effect. So basically, I need to multiply A and B. I'll be able to get out some value. But whether that multiplied value, is it significant or not, that I don't know. So for that, I'm dependent on a test called Sobel test. So for that, I'm going to Chrome. Okay, so I'm going for a test called Sobel test. Okay, Sobel test. Go to Sobel test. Click on the first link. Okay, just enter the value whatever it is asking. Come down. Okay, now basically you have to enter the value, that is the unstandardized coefficient value and the standardized error. Mention all the values of A and B and click on calculate. It will give you the output. Now because I have already mentioned it, I am referring the PPT here. So here you can see that the A value is 1. Okay, now I don't have the standardized error, right? So I'm dependent on the table. Go back to the table. Just I'm going to the first one. Direct effect, this is what I call it as path A. Okay. So what is the unstandardized one? 1.023. What is the standard error? What is the standard error here? 0.065. Okay, done. Then go to B. Okay, B is what? M on Y is B. We have both X and M on Y. So M on Y. M on Y is this path. Refer this second line. Sorry, third line. So here 0.433. 0.433. What is standardized error B? That is 0.048. 0.048. Okay, I just have to click on calculate. So if I click on calculate, what is the value that I'm getting? 7.82. That is a test statistic. I'm more interested in checking out the p-value. What is the value of this p? P-value is almost, it is 0. So which means that indirect effect is significant, right? So that is how I come to a conclusion that yes, there is a strong mediation effect is there. Why? Because this is also significant. Total effect is also significant. Indirect effect is also significant. Okay. Indirect effect is also significant. And I can also see that the total effect, earlier it was significant. Now the direct effect of X on Y has become insignificant. So technically speaking, I would say that it is a full mediation, right? So I would like to ask few questions just to check out whether you have understood the concept or not. Okay, this is not an SPSS session. Basically, it is a session through which you can understand and appreciate what is meant by mediation. Okay, questions for practice. Are you ready? Right. Now tell me, is there any mediating effect is there? Look at this path. Is there, first question, answer the first question. Is there a mediating effect is there first of all?
Yes, sir, is there.
Why?
P-value comes with a less than
The
0.0.
p-value of total effect is significant. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The p-value of A is also significant. The p-value of B is also significant. That means that some mediation is there. Some mediation means is it full or partial? For that you have to refer this one. Is it partial mediation or full mediation? When you refer this direct effect of X on Y.
Partial effect, sir.
Do you all agree with this? Yes? Okay. Look at this. First of all, is there any mediating effect is there? First question. Is there any mediating effect is there? What happened? Why not getting any response?
Not very clear, sir. If you don't mind, this partial and
No.
full.
First of all, you have to check whether the first condition is getting fulfilled. First question is that, is there a mediating effect? What is the first condition? What is the first condition? C should be significant. A and B should be significant. Then only you can get qualified for mediation. Now you go as per the process. Check out this. Is it significant? Look at the p-value. Is it significant?
Yes, sir. It is equal to 0.5. Then it is significant.
Yes, it is significant. Significant, sir.
Is it significant or insignificant? I think you are getting confused with 0.5 and 0.05. P-value.
It is above.
Significant because it is 0.5. It is not 0.05.
It is insignificant. Okay, it is not significant. It is insignificant. Okay, right. Look at the p-value of A. What is the value?
0.8, and this is also insignificant.
Insignificant. This is, luckily it is significant, but that doesn't matter. Because all three paths has to be significant. Then only I'll be in a position to use mediation analysis. So, did I use the correct method for this analysis?
Yes, sir, obviously.
No, I didn't. Because when this is not getting fulfilled, see, when the relationship between
Yes, sir.
knob and boiling of milk is not there, why should I have to check out why milk is getting boiled because of the knob? I should not use mediation for this relationship. Using mediation for this relationship is wrong. There might be some other relationship. That's a different one altogether. Maybe moderation. But mediation is not applicable for
Moderating.
this model. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Yes.
Fine. So mediation is not every analysis we have to use mediation. Okay, probably we have to use something called moderation. Now I think we have exhausted the time. I don't think so. I'll be in a position to carry on with the moderation because it is a separate topic. I just wanted to do justice for the mediation topic alone. So that is why we try to cover both theory as well as practical. So I don't want to get into this moderation topic. So with this, I would like to conclude the session on mediation. Anybody is having any doubt?
Thank you, sir.